Hello everyone's done here and hold on, my table is a bit of a mess. Okay, that's better. So today I'm going to make a guide for learning a new language. I'm going to break this video down into separate points, and I would like to start with point 0, which is actually choosing the language you're going to learn. So for me that wasn't really a problem because I became interested in Japan, and in turn I got quite interested in Japanese as a language, so I already knew what I wanted to learn, and my passion for it kind of grew over time. So I didn't really choose it, it just kind of developed on its own. But I want to suggest what language you should learn if you're not sure yet, and what language would be more beneficial to learn. So first I'm going to start with a simple list. I got from different sources different numbers for speakers of every language, including second language speakers, and the list goes as follows: Mandarin with 1,040,000,000 speakers, English with 950 million, Hindi and Urdu with 645 million speakers. These go together because they're pretty much the same language, it's just that for political reasons in Pakistan and India they're called different names. Next comes Spanish with 483 million. Next is Arabic with 376 million. Although this is a bit unfair because Arabic is a lot of different dialects. From one source I heard that it has 18 different dialects, and people who speak different dialects might not understand each other. So this is something to consider. It's a family of languages, not really one single language. Then comes Russian with 298 million speakers. Then it's Indonesian and Malay with 226 million. These are again together because they're just pretty much the same language called different names in Indonesia and Malaysia. Next comes Bengali with 223 million speakers. Bengali is the language spoken in Bangladesh. Then comes Portuguese with 213 million speakers. Then it's French with 207 million speakers. Then Japanese with 128 million, and German with 107 million speakers. So if you look at this list, the most obvious thing is, oh, Mandarin has the most speakers, so that's what I'm going to learn. Well, I'm not sure how useful Mandarin would be. Mandarin is spoken in China, Taiwan, and I think I heard some people in Malaysia speak it. So it's not very widespread, even though it's the most spoken language. However, it is still quite useful because China has the biggest economy in the world. But I personally wouldn't start there. Also, I heard that Mandarin is very difficult to learn, so that is also something to consider. The same goes for Hindi and Urdu. They aren't very widespread. So honestly, what I would suggest learning if you're not sure what you should choose is Spanish, because it is very widespread. It is spoken in, well, Spain, in Latin America, and almost all of South America except for Brazil. However, I wouldn't really suggest just looking at the popularity of the language, because I think the more important factor is passion. I think if maybe you have some relatives who speak a certain language, that is a language you would want to learn, and you would want to communicate with those people in their native tongue. So it would be kind of closer to you, and the learning process would be easier for you. So what I would suggest is maybe look at this list and think what language would be the closest to you. Perhaps some of you are Muslim and it would be very interesting for you to learn Arabic. Or maybe you even live in a country, the language of which you don't know. That would be definitely a good choice. So next is actually starting to learn. Now, first I want to say I'm not sponsored by anyone. I just want to let you know what resources are good, what resources work. So the first thing I'm going to suggest is podcasts. In particular, Innovative Language 101. These guys have like 34 language courses, so 34 different languages, and that's what I used for learning Japanese. Now, it's not free, well, after the trial runs out, and I think the trial lasts a week, but in that week, you can download as many podcasts as you like, and they're broken down into different courses. So it starts with absolute beginner, then beginner, and etc. I would suggest downloading as many as you can, and then I would honestly suggest actually getting the course and regularly listening to the podcasts. It's not very expensive. It's a lot cheaper than getting a tutor. And that's actually the next thing we're going to talk about. Now, this is definitely optional, but I think if you're starting out and you don't know anything about the language, I think you should take maybe 5 to 10 courses with a tutor or a teacher on a site called italki. I took 2 lessons with a tutor and it did help, but I found that a point I'm going to talk about next in this video helps a lot more than a tutor. Also, ask your teacher or tutor to only discuss the most important stuff, the stuff you're going to use daily. So number 3 is Memrise. This one is quite straightforward. It's an app and it is a website as well. And it is basically flashcards. If you've never heard of flashcards, originally it was just actually the little pieces of paper that you cut out and you write like hello on one side and on the other side you write hola. And you have a bunch of these cards for the language you're learning at the time. You actually keep them in your pocket and you take them out. You look, hello, what was it? I don't remember. Hola, okay. And then you remembered, and the next time it's more likely you're going to remember this one. But this is a lot smarter because it's an app that actually spaces out. It's called spaced repetition, where they kind of calculate when you should repeat a certain word. But Memrise has these flashcards prepared, so there are several language courses. If Memrise has a course for the language you're learning, then definitely start learning with that course. Number 4 is Anki. Anki is also an app for flashcards, except there you create your own flashcards. Unfortunately, I didn't start using Anki from the beginning, which led to me having to put everything I've already learned into Anki. And I'm still not done. I've been doing it for a few weeks now, and it takes a long time. So if you're starting, just start using Anki immediately. This one is definitely important. Number 5 is optional. It's a copybook. Now, when I started, I got this copybook. I had it somewhere around the house. And like from day one, I started writing down everything I've just learned into the copybook. Now I've already filled up this one and I'm using this one. You don't have to do this if you don't like writing, but it will help with that exact thing, writing. If you're learning a language, you should be able to write in that language and read. And especially, we use the internet every day, and on the internet, you write and read the text that someone sends you, right? So it is quite important. So I suggest actually getting a copybook. For me personally, almost everything I know is in these copybooks. And if I forget something, I can always open it up and look it up. I suggest actually doing that exact same thing and writing down the same flashcards onto your phone. Next is a translating app. Now, I'm not talking so much about a translating app like Google Translate. I'm more talking about like a mobile dictionary. Because first, simple translators, they don't really do the job that well. I suggest looking up like Spanish dictionary, if that's what you're learning, and it'll have more information about the word you're looking for. And if you want to translate sentences, you're better off asking someone because a computer can't really do it that well. So in particular, if you are also learning Japanese, I would suggest Tenjin Pro. It's a paid app, it's like $2, but it's very worth it. Number 7, this is a very important point, it's listening. If you started learning a language, chances are some people on YouTube make videos in that language. Also, find some movies in that language. When I say listening, I mean with having subtitles on. And also, it's very important to listen to music. This doesn't take any effort. You're just if you're going to school or to work, you can put in your headphones and just listen to the music. Now this really helps your listening comprehension. You'll be able to tell words apart a lot better. And for me personally, I definitely see some progress because I had 3 songs before I started learning Japanese. Of course, I couldn't understand anything. But as I started learning and as my Japanese became better and better, I understood more and more words. Next is find yourself a language partner. Kind of like a pen pal, but I mean, we're in 2016, more like a Skype pal, and just speak with them maybe weekly, maybe even daily if they're up to it. And I talked about this before. On italki, you can find some people for language exchange. I have 2 friends right now who I speak Japanese with, one of which actually is learning Russian. So I help him with Russian, and in turn he helps me with Japanese. And this is the point that I was discussing when I was talking about the teachers. I think this helps a lot more. With a teacher, you have only a limited amount of hours that they can dedicate to you, so a language partner would be a lot more useful. Now, number 9 relates to number 8. This is, don't be afraid to make mistakes. In fact, I think if you make a mistake, that's even more beneficial because the person you're talking to will correct you and you will remember that a lot better. I know that works for me quite well, and sometimes I will almost intentionally make a small mistake just so I know what's the right way to say it. Now, number 10, and I think this is the most important point, it's start learning. I've heard some people tell me, oh, I would like to learn Spanish and I would like to learn French and blah, blah, blah. I think the most important thing is to actually start doing it. Like, honestly, right now, I mean, if it's not late at night, go ahead and actually start learning the language you want to learn. So, of course, as I suggested, I think you should start with podcasts, Innovative Language 101, and it is not a problem at all. I honestly think that self-studying is a lot more efficient than what they teach you at school. I personally have been learning English for like 11 years now, and I mean, I think that in the 2.5 months I've been learning Japanese, I've learned far more than I've learned in the first 2 years of learning English. So I bet you will be able to have a conversation with someone after a year, if not half a year. Hell, if you're very passionate, you could start speaking with people in a few months. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. This is honestly the first video I've ever made where I actually made some kind of a script and done some research. So I really hope this helps you, and I'll see you next time.
世界で一番の姫さんそういう扱い心得てよね God damn it.
Let me know if this helps in the comments, and I guess let me know if this helps in the comment. Ah, fuck! Stop it!